Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice and Blue Ocean Insights Private Limited, I warmly welcome you all to the first session of the Research Methodology lecture series. Today's session will focus on the fundamentals of research methodology, aiming to provide a foundational understanding of academic research, research problem identification, and the importance of developing socially relevant research ideas. Um, we are delighted to have your participation in this academic initiative, which is designed to support emerging researchers in strengthening their methodological knowledge and research thinking. Okay, now I would like to officially commence today's session. It's now my great pleasure to introduce the resource person for today's session. We are truly honored to have Mrs. Hiranya Disanayaka, Senior Lecturer at the Wyoming University of Sri Lanka, who is a distinguished academic and an accomplished researcher with notable contributions to academic research and scholarly development. Mrs. Disanayaka was recognized as the most outstanding senior researcher at Wyoming University of Sri Lanka in 2024, and she has received the SEMA Research Excellence Award in both 2022 and 2025 in recognition of her impactful research contributions. She was also honored with the International Luminary Award for Research in 2024, reflecting her growing international academic recognition. Her experience in teaching, research supervision, and research capacity development has significantly supported emerging researchers in understanding the importance of conducting socially relevant and methodologically sound studies. In today's session, she will share her valuable insights on the fundamentals of research methodology, helping participants to develop a clear understanding of academic research and research idea development. We warmly welcome you, Mrs. Hiranya Disanayaka, and kindly invite you to take over the session.
Sorry. Thank you so much for a lengthy introduction. Please let me know whether I am audible.
Yes, madam.
All right. Thank you so much. Then I can share my presentation. Okay. Good evening, all of you. Today is the very first day of this research methodology workshop series. I think this is really important day for you because you are learning research methodology from today in this workshop series. And this is eye-opening to you for the research. Today, I don't go through more research theories. Today, I will mainly explain about the importance of research in today's society and importance of research publications to you and the society. And I will tell you about some alternatives of research ideas. That's the today's session. Then you can publish your journal article at Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice. Okay, let's move. The first slide, I think all of you know, today it's not a good situation to the world. We know that in Middle East, USA, war is ongoing. We know that so many problems are created due to wars. We know that Sri Lanka also, we are facing this war. We have more impacts in the war. And then you can see not only Sri Lanka, but also most of the countries facing so many problems with the war. Most importantly, we need to think twice on energy substitutes. That is, we know that renewable energy is always depleted, but with this war, it will finish, I think, early as possible. Therefore, we need to think about alternatives of renewable energy. Now you can see the world research problems. That world problems are the research problems for you. We need to concern about these important things in your research. You can see here, this is another example. In Sri Lanka, there was a Ditwa impact. In 2024 December, Ditwa create so many, this is I show about the war situation, right? It's because of war, there may be so many research need to be done, right? Because there are impacts of war. In addition, you can see the Ditwa situation, right? So many people have so many problems because of Ditwa. We know in Sri Lanka, so many areas they are facing so many problems, right? Then you can see to solve these problems, research need to be undergo. Because we know this Ditwa also because of the, it's a natural disaster, that's correct. But it is because of sometimes man-made creations. That's why there was more impact. Then we can investigate why this Ditwa impact, how it is impact to the society, how can solve these things, right? Like that, there are so many research problems are arising with this impact. Now you can see this is the impact. Ditwa, so many people confirmed dead and affected, destroyed, right? Safety centers, partially damaged, missing, right? And then this also impact for the climate change, right? Like that, there are so many issues out there creating with this type of disasters. Then recently I found another very important thing for Sri Lankan context. We know that according to the happiness index, recently noted that Sri Lanka is in the lowest level. Lowest level. Global rank is 134 from 147 countries. Happiness index score is 4. Now you can see it's a very important problem, right? Sri Lanka happiness index has been decreased, right? We are now actually lower at South Asia also, right? Then this is a one research problem. You can see what has happened to this index. Why this happiness index has been decreased? Why? Actually, we are unhappy. What we can do for that, right? Now you can see these are few research problems. I help you to eye-open your research mindset. Then you can see this is my, that I show you some research in the world issues, Sri Lankan issues, right? Then today, the main focus is understanding about the research. What is research? And then how the research is important for social progress and sustainable development, right? That is the main objectives of today's session, Right. Then what you need to do, research is like a bridge. Right. Now we discuss certain research issues, certain world issues. These are the problems faced in the world. Renewable energy problem. Right. Because you can see the non-renewable resources are depleting. Not only the nature, but also human-made disasters. Right? We know that recently also gas, the natural gas destroyed by these two parties, right? Two parties destroying. The Israel is destroying Iran, Iran is destroying Israel. Anyhow, natural gas is destroyed. Okay. Then so many oil reservoirs have destroyed. You can see these are the problems. Because of that, the energy problem is everywhere. Right? Not only Sri Lanka. I know that most of the countries, India also, we saw in the news, gas problem, cooking gas limited. Right? Because you can see the war has impact all over the world. Now the researcher face this problem. Right? We know that there's a problem. Then we need to identify this problem. And then we need to investigate literature. And then we need to collect data and analyze and see a solution for this. What we can do. Researcher can do something. We can do something for solving this problem. We can give some alternative solutions. And then, but you can see now this is a problem. We have so many guesses. That is not the research, right? I can say, oh, yes, there is a problem of gas. Therefore, I can do like this, like this, like this. No, that is not the research, right? Research is a systematic process. That also you need to investigate, understand. Research is not a guess, right? It's not a simply guess. It's a systematic inquiry. Okay, you can see now researcher is going to search the unknown, known to unknown. That is the research, right? You are going to search the unknown reality. That is the research, right? Then you can see research means what? Systematic investigation. That's why I show in the slides. Systematic investigation conducted to create new knowledge. That is known to unknown. We need to introduce new thing to the world. Or we need to solve social and practical problems. That means I told that so many problems previously. It may be more than that we are facing, right, in the world. Then research will solve problems. In addition, it is important for theory and practice. For the researchers also important. In addition, practically for everyone, it is important. And then you need to understand research is involve critical thinking. You need to think when this type of situation comes, you need to critically think why this happened. What are the impact of that? How we can find solutions. Right? Like that, you can have critical thinking and you can read some literature and see these studies, how they write about this type of situation. And you can think about your situation. Now we know Sri Lanka, not only Sri Lanka, all of the whole world face COVID-19. We know in 2019, 20, those days. Then COVID-19 is a new problem, right? It was happened in 2020. Before that, people does not know about this type of impact. But you can do research on that. Based on the previous other viral infections research. Then you can have some idea about that, and you can have critical thinking, and you can find a solution for this problem. Like that. Right? Now the war, today is a new, but there was a war in 1945. Right? Second World War. Before that, in 1918, there is a First World War. Then that situations are happened before. Therefore, we can read about that and see those days what happened. We can have some idea about that. We can find solution for today's war. Not we can't instruct for the two presidents, right? But actually come to Sri Lankan context or any country context, they can find their solution based on previous literature. Right? And then other very important thing is evidence-based analysis. That's why we need to collect data and see what are the impacts. And then it should be ethical scholarly practice. It should be ethics. It's very important in the today's AI era, right? This need to be ethical. This is your research. It's not the ChatGPT research, right? It should be your research. You need to find the solutions. You need to collect data. You need to analyze the data. And you need to do the research. That is very important. Ethical things are very important. Okay, now we will see what is the difference between everyday thinking versus research. Right? Everyday thinking means you are thinking. It's like a mystery to go to the top of this mountain. But what happened in the research we are doing with certain steps, right? That's the thing. It's different. Now think about that I told about Sri Lanka happiness index has been declined. Then anyone say, yes, happiness index is declined. Therefore, what we can do, we can increase the happiness, right? People can say that we need to increase the happiness. And right, how we can increase the religious beliefs or something. You can do increasing or like that. You can say something. That is the everyday thinking. But when we come to the research, you need to see why Sri Lanka face this problem. You need to analyze the literature and see what has happened to Sri Lanka. We need to collect the data and see primary data, secondary data, like that. You need to collect the data and then you need to analyze. And then you need to find solution to this problem. It is a systematic inquiry, right? It's not a just thinking. It's not a guess. It is a systematic inquiry of unknown to known. Research is that. Systematic inquiry of unknown to known. Sorry, known to unknown. Right? You can see this is how doing the research. Right? This is the coffee shop behavior. You are analyzing by collecting data, various things. We analyze the customer behavior, how this is, why, how, like that, big questions, analyze and answer the question. That is the research. Okay, now I think you understood what is research. Research means it is a systematic investigation, known to unknown. That's a simple thing. Then we discuss why research. Okay, I know that this is a simple example. You know these people, Michael Porter, Peter Drucker, right? And then Philip Kotler. No, Michael Porter, we know. That's, we know the Porter's 5 forces, Porter's that competitive strategies in the strategic management accounting, right? Now, we know these names, Sri Lanka. I think Indian people also know, any other people know, all over the world know these names. Michael Porter, right? Why? Because they have done research. They have done research. That research is popular among the world. Then Peter Drucker, we know when they come to modern management. Peter Drucker. We learn about Peter Drucker in our undergraduate syllabuses, master syllabuses. He is popular, right? And then Philip Kotler, marketing, father of marketing, right? And then Clayton Christensen, that innovations. In addition, you can see Adam Smith like that. Or Bob Tricker, corporate governance. Now, why they have popular? Because they publish research. Their research become popular among the world. Next, come to this person. I know most of you using Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg. Right? You know the Mark Zuckerberg. His research is the Facebook. His research was the Facebook. Right? Now you can see today we all use this Facebook because of his research. He does not know this research, but you can see he's a very important person. He don't think that no one think about this networking, but he think differently. His idea, new thing. It was popular among the world. Then Apple. You can see Apple. And then you can see this Steve Jobs, right? And Bill Gates, Microsoft. These all are research products. Because of their research, these things have come to the world, right? Now you can see these people are popular and these people are billionaires, right? I think this Mark Zuckerberg, very young person, he's now billionaire in the world because he has done research, right? Now you can understand the research is very important thing. You can earn money too, not only become popular, right? Because if you think a different thing, now you can see you are doing so many experiments and you find something new, right? That is very satisfying. I think it's very, you can say eureka, right? There's so many people, I don't include here about the scientific people, right? We know that so many Galileo Galilei, you can say Newton, those people all are famous because why? They have done research. They have introduced new things to the world. That's why they are popular in the world. Then if you want to become popular, you need to do a good research. That's very important thing. Then other thing, when you come to the students, you can improve the creative thinking. You have left brain and right brain. Both you can use and you can think outside the box, right? Then research need thinking outside the box, right? That is very important thing, that if you have a research, that means you need to do a research, unique research. It should be unique. It should be unique research. That's why Facebook is a new concept. Very first time, that second time, copying it and doing something, it's not like that. It's not new. But the first person introduced, that is the most important thing, right? Then that person think in a different way, right? Therefore, what happened with the research, you are improving your creative thinking. And then you can see this is a small thing, clay, right? Now what happened? It's a finished product. You can become a millionaire based on this product, right? That's why you can, and then you are improving linear thinking, lateral, because research is not a okay, right. Then you can see where, sorry. Okay. Then you are improving the linear thinking and lateral thinking. And in addition, you can see you are getting more and more knowledge, mountain of knowledge, right? With the research, right? You can have more knowledge. With the, that means that you select one area and then you are reading books, reading literature, and then you can have a mountain of knowledge. And then another important thing is the networking. You will have many friends with the research. Actually, when I start my research, that means my main research is starting around 2020. Before that also I done, but mainly after that, I got so many friends. I have so many friends from India, and then I have so many friends from different European countries, right? And then some Australians, New Zealand, different countries, I have different friends, right? With the research, you can have more collaboration. We know that there's a LinkedIn, very important thing for the researchers, collaboration, right? You can have different people. You can go to different conferences. You can exchange ideas, right? Then you can have different people network. Now we are in Sri Lanka, but we can have different friends in different countries. It's a very important thing, right? That's also very important impact of research. You can see, you can go to conferences, you can have collaborations, and you can have mentorships, and you can have fundings, you can go abroad, right? That means you can see students, you can go to different countries with the collaborations. You can ask for these funding opportunities, right? That's like that. There are so many benefits of research. And then you can see other very important thing for the students. Because when you publish more and more research, like in a good journals, right? Like with the higher citations, reputable journals, if you publish them, what happens? You will get scholarship opportunities, right? You will get scholarship opportunities. That if you are doing masters, if you like to do masters in a foreign country with a scholarship, then journal publication is really important. Or if you are finishing PhD, then the postdoctoral opportunities if you require, then also you need some articles, right? This will be give marks for you at the scholarship interviews or scholarship evaluation. Therefore, research is very important for you. I think you understood the research is really important for you. Because we always tell about research is important to society. But not only society, for you it is important. Right? You will become popular, you can improve creative thinking, and you can improve knowledge, and you can have more friends. Right? And then you can get more scholarships, and you can travel abroad, right? Because you can have connections and you can tell with your friends, we can have some free scholarship for conferences like that. You can get those things and you can travel different countries, right? You can see research is very important for all of us. Now we come to the research importance for the society. It is very important not only for you, but also it is important for the society, right? Now, I told in the very first about this renewable energy problem, right? With the research, we can find solutions for that. What are the alternatives of renewable energy? Or we can tell about for the that means policymakers, these are the impact of renewable energy depletion, right? Then that's like that you can conduct researches for the policy development. And then you will see that today's society, we are facing this climate change. It's really hot in these days, Sri Lanka. I know that India also, my friends telling it's very hot. Why this? Global warming, right? Then for that, we can do research on this area, right? And then in addition, you can see social justice and inclusion. There are so many vulnerable groups in today's society, vulnerable groups, right? Now you can see the most of the gender violations are there, right? Gender discriminations is there. In addition, some other people, there are so many problems. Social justice is important. Now you can see, think about Iran situation. Politicians are okay. But what happened? The innocent groups in these countries, innocent people, right? Sometimes they don't have food, water, right? Medicine. Now you can see these are the problems in the society, right? That we can do research for these areas. And then that is one way. And then technological advancement. You can think to develop softwares. Now we are telling about the artificial intelligence. You can update these things, right? You can have technological in advancement, right? New things you can introduce, robots you can introduce, like that you can have different things you can introduce. And mainly the sustainable development. It's very important. In today's society, we need to do more research on this sustainable development. It is very important because all of in the world facing these problems. I will tell one thing. Do you know any one country in the world has not yet achieved all sustainable development goals? You can see today, 2026, we need to achieve in 2030, right? But in last year SDG report, they say no one country has achieved SDG goals. No one country in the world has achieved SDG goals in 2025. Now, see, there's a problem. 2030, we need to achieve what? But we have not yet done anyone. Problem. You can see about your country. What is the level of SDG? Why it is? Why this has not achieved? What are the reasons for that? How we can achieve that? Right? Like that, this actually the research will eye-open these things, right? You can understand the real world challenges and then you can find solution for these problems, right? Therefore, the research is important for the society. I think you understand research is important for you and me. In addition, it is important for the society. Right? In addition, you can see this small diagram that in the research today, it's very important to have collaboration with industry. Right? Collaborative research is really important. Right? Then you can, that today's, I think universities are collaborate with industry and doing more research. That's also very important. Okay, now I have included some of the world problems, research problems you need to address, right? So one is, you can see, inequality and poverty, right? That is a very important thing, right? We know that some parts in Sri Lanka also we are facing this poverty problem, right? Now you can see, because of this today's situation, our poverty level will be go up. Now you can see today also oil price has gone up, right? Because of the oil price has gone up, we know that all the product prices will be gone up. What happened? The poverty level will be increased, right? Now there's a problem, right? And then you can see next one, previous social exclusion and marginalization. You know, some groups, they are excluded, right? With the gender or economic status, but they are unable to do anything, right? Then we can study about that. Or you can see about the cultural transformation, right? We think about that, about this cultural transformation, how it is impact. Now you can see with the artificial intelligence, right? And then you can see the Western cultural values come to that these other countries. What happened to the cultural impact, cultural value impact? Because actually the very important thing about this happiness index is very low in Sri Lanka. But you can see, according to our culture, it will not change, right? According to our culture, happiness index should not be decreased, right? But you will know that in our Buddhist culture, we are always telling we need to think about sufficiency, self-sufficiency. According to the things we have, we need to be happy, satisfied. But it's different now. These are the research, right? You can see why this happiness index is low in Sri Lanka, right? This shows that our cultural values are hampered. You can see these are destroyed now, right? Globalization impacts, right? That I know that most of the students in Sri Lanka also, they are like to go abroad. They don't like to stay in Sri Lanka, right? Changing cultural values, migrations. This need to be discussed by the researchers, right? Then last thing I told about this community resilience and social sustainability. You can see these today's situations, we can have more research, right? Because we know that different situations are there. We are facing every day some problem. In Sri Lanka, I know that we are telling almost problem. In 2020, we faced COVID-19 and 2022 bankruptcy. And then again, now come 2025, this war impact. How it is impact to the society? How we can survive from this? These are the research areas we can do. Okay. One important thing when you are doing research, I will tell, right? Research is not totally broad. It should be narrow, because I told that this is a big story. Research problem need to be very small, right? Right? You can't touch the ocean at once, right? You need to touch one, right? Only one, right? That means that forest you don't touch, only one leaf you need to discuss. That you have to understand, right? Research need to be narrow, right? That is very important when you are doing a research. And then other thing is very important. You need to have the curiosity. And then you need to see the research is not the same thing repeating. That is very important thing for everyone. Don't do the research that done by other people. Same thing. I know that so many people are doing corporate governance and performance. If it is like that, all are doing corporate governance and performance. Corporate governance and performance. Different like that. It is not the research. You need to think about new. You need to have curiosity. Right? That is very important. We know certain literature. According to that, we need to find a new thing. It is the research. We need to think. What are the things they have done in previous research? How we can change this small thing. We need to think a small point. That is very important thing. Don't repeat the same research. Right? Don't repeat the same research. Okay. And then other thing is, see, this is a COVID, this is some image you can see. Uncontrolled pandemic. What happened? That global vaccine introduced, and then what happened? It is eradicated. Now you can see the researchers, very excellent in the world. There was no COVID-19 pandemic. But what happened? They have researched vaccine and then introduced and given to people. Right? That's the research. Okay, now you can see these are some research problems. And then what you need to do in the research, you need to find a research gap. Research gap. I don't discuss this more detail because in the future lessons you will learn, but I will briefly tell what is research gap. Research gap means an unanswered question. I told that research is not the same thing repeating. It should be different. Different. That means previous scholars have not done, or it may be not sufficiently done. Like that, it may be like that. Sometimes you can see the previous scholars done in research in a different context, but your context is different, then it will be a gap. It will be a gap. Or it may be sometimes previous researchers has done this research and found different type of relationship. Then there is no exact answer. There's a confusion. Then we can have a research gap. Okay, and then you can see that some relationships we are doing in a previous day, years ago, but you can see that today's context is different. Today time period is different. Then we can have a research gap. Right? And the same issue we can explain in different way. Because I told about the World War. World War research has done in 1930, 45 like that. But now you can see now it's a different way. Right? You can have a new perspective on that. Renewable energy issues has been discussed by various researchers up to today. But today we are discussing in a different way. Why? Because previously there was no war. But now there is a war. Right? Middle East problem will impact the whole world. But we don't do the research for whole world. But we can do only for Sri Lanka. Or you can do only for one industry. Like that, we need to be narrow. Right? Like that, that is the research gap. Research gap means it is actually gap. Right? That's why I told it may be unanswered question, or it may be neglected population, or new perspective, or it may be a new method. It may be a new method. Sometimes some people done in the research using the quantitative research. We'll discuss in the next slide. Quantitative, that's the numbers. But there was no study done in the qualitative method because qualitative study is a different way. They are doing more exploration of research. Therefore, there's a research gap, right? Like that, you can think about different way of the research gap. Sometimes research has been done only a cross-sectional, one time period, right? But it is required to discuss this research in some period, longitudinal, more period, right? Then there is a research gap. Like that, you need to think in an innovative way. That is the research gap. Then other thing is, it can be, you can use it a literature review, or you can use policy debates, or social observation. Like that, you can have research gap. Right? Now, I told that the today's context, now this is the happiness index law, we can have a research gap. It's a problem. Ditwa, Sri Lanka. Then that's a problem. You can have research gap. There were so many natural disasters in the world. Sri Lanka also. There are so many studies, but the Ditwa is a new one. We can discuss about Ditwa impact. Then the gas shortages. I don't know. There are so many research issues in the world. We know that, right? You can identify the research gap like that. Then anyhow, after that, you can do research in different ways, right? You can mainly do the research in 3 ways. I don't discuss more on this, but only briefly I will make sure. There may be quantitative, qualitative, and mixed research. Quantitative data research means what? Quantitative research means you are collecting quantitative data, numerical data. Numerical data, that means you collect data from the questionnaires or annual reports, right? Like that you calculate the numbers, right? You are testing hypotheses, right? And then you will do the research. That is the quantitative data, right? And then qualitative means what? It is actually interviews. You go more detail about that. Qualitative interviews. It may be observations, right? And then experiments like that. Different ways you can do the qualitative research. Or what you can do, the today's concept, mixed method research. You can combine this quantitative and qualitative research, and you can do a more insightful research. Today's context, most people are prefer mixed method, right? That not only quantitative, but also qualitative. You are doing big research, right? Like that, anyhow, you can do a research. Quantitative, qualitative, mix like that, you can do research. Then this is an example issue to research topics. You can see example. You can see the digital divide, research on AI accessibility among marginalized communities. Right? This is an example. Right? Because you can see there's a digital divide on the research on AI. Now we know in Sri Lanka also, some areas, they don't know about AI. Right? They don't know about AI. Then we can see about this digital divide. What are the reasons for that? Right? And then climate disasters affecting poor coastal communities. That also you can see now, actually not only coastal communities, now you can see in the Sri Lanka, in the upper country, there are so many problems because of Ditwa, right? They are facing this. Then we can understand the impact, right? And then graduate unemployment and job insecurity. Now you can see different things. Today what happened? Online. Right now Sri Lanka, most of the universities now online. Now what happened? There is a problem in Sri Lankan universities. Right? Now in the university level, there are certain canteens and shops are there in that villages. Right? What happened to them? Now there's a problem these days, right? When the universities are online, what happened to them? Can you see the problems comes when the online education, What happened? What are the impacts of online education? It's a research problem, right? Because it's good and bad, both are there, right? Then you can see this problem, right? And then you can see the research on workplace equity and social justice, that you can see gender pay differences. That's also thing there. Now I think today's context, it has been lower, but 10 years, 20 years back, it is different. Because for the ladies have low salaries and gents have higher salaries. The private sector doesn't like to recruit ladies, but I think that has been changed. But you can see whether it should be investigated. And then you can think about the informal employment. That also the problem. Or sometimes it's a benefit. Like that, there may be so many gaps are there. And you can see the rural school dropout and digital access gap. That also there. You can see in Sri Lanka, some schools have very low number of students, low number of teachers. I think sometimes other countries also these problems. Then we can identify the gap, education inequality, the problem, right? And then with these, there are so many problems are there, right? Then you can see these research problems. And you can do research on that, right? Okay. Now we will see what are the characteristics of publishable. Now we discuss about these problems. Then these problems we can do research. But in the research, these are the most important thing. One is originality. I told from the beginning to now, originality is the most important thing. Your research need to be unique. Your research need to be unique. It's different from other research. If not, it is useless, right? Your paper will be rejected. Your research proposal defense will be failed, right? The research need to be unique. You need to mention that how your research is different from previous research. It need to be clear in your research. And then methodological rigor. I told that in the first, research means systematic inquiry. You need to explain clearly about the methods you are using. You need to clearly mention about the quantitative, qualitative research. What is the sample size? How you justify the sample? How is the data analysis method? You need to justify all these things. You need to clearly mention about your methodology. That is very important. Next one is the ethical responsibility, right? Today's you need to consider, you need to have the responsibility of your research, not the AI, right? AI research is not good context, right? Today's people are saying, you can write the paper and you can improve it. That is okay. But you do total research based on AI is not accepted. It is totally unaccepted. This is your research. You need to do by yourself. You need to read the paper. Don't give the paper to AI to read. It's not good, right? You need to read the paper. You need to, if not, what happened? You don't know anything about the research. ChatGPT know about your research, but you don't know anything about research. Therefore, you have ethical responsibility, right? You need to know about your research. You need to do the research. You need to read the papers. You need to write the literature review. You need to write the methodology, and you need to collect data and analyze, report writing. That need to be done by yourself. That is very important thing. And then next one is the theoretical and practical contribution. Your research needs to have two things. One is theoretical contribution. That means you know that there are different theories in the social science, right? Agency theory, resource dependency theory, stakeholder theory, like that different theories are there. Then you need to mention how your research will add the knowledge to the theories, right? Then sometimes you will add the mediator variable, moderator variable, like that you will do something new to the theory that you need to highlight, right? And then you need to concern about the practical contribution. How the research is important for policymakers, right? Now you can think about like we are doing a research, then how it is important for the policymakers, for the, you can see the central bank. If it is economic research, central bank, how it is important, and how it is important to the industry, how it is important for the firms. Like that, you need to explain about the practical importance. These are the most important requirements for a good research, right? You need to have a new idea, you need to have a systematic method, and you need to take your ethical responsibility, and then there need to be theoretical and practical contribution, right? It is very important. If you publish a research, it will impact beyond the classroom, right? Because we know that when we publish research, then our papers are cited by world, different countries. It is go broad, right? Then this is the structure of a journal article. Actually, I don't discuss everything. Now, in an article, you need to have introduction, right? You need to write about your research objectives, research problem, right? Like that. And then you need to write the literature review, right? You need to review, there should be, you need to consider about the concept definitions, theoretical background, and empirical review, right? And the gap analysis. And then next, you have the methodology, right? You need to consider about the methods you are using, approach, right? And then you can sample, data analysis, like that, operationalization of variables, those things include. And then you write the data analysis, right? How you analyze the data according to your objective, and then discussion. You discuss with the literature, finally conclusion. Right? These are the things in the journal article you will learn in the future. Actually, I don't discuss these things because this is a separate topic. You will learn how to write a journal article. But in the starting point, I am telling these are the things need to be included in a journal article. Right. Then finally, you can see this is the importance of research, right? You can see it's bridge the gap between academic and real world, right? It is evidence-based policy making, and it is important for the communities, social issues, problem solving in organization, right? It is important collaboration with researchers, industry, and government, right? Inclusive development. These are the importance of research. Finally, you can see research is very important, right? Why? Because advances scientific knowledge, direct applied solutions, and guides evidence-based policy, right? That is the research journey. I know that if you don't start yet research, you will start your journey tomorrow, right? Go to literature and find some research gap and see the research problem in the world. That also you can consider for your research gap, and you can read literature and find a gap, and you can next have a collect data, and then you do data analyze, and then finally you can do a research, right? That is very important thing, right? Research is very important to the world. Therefore, I think all of you need to do a research, and you can have so many publication avenues. And then here, Journal of Marginalized Communities and Social Justice also, another important avenue. You can publish your papers. Then that is the things I want to discuss. If you have any questions, you can answer. I can answer. Right. This is any questions?
If you have any questions, please raise your hand, then we can unmute you.
Okay. Okay, that some people are mentioned that they have not allowed unmute.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Manju Kumari Jaisi. I am from Nepal. I am a government officer working at the Prime Minister office here in Kathmandu. I have one question. So,
Okay.
for every types of research, do we need the data or not?
That means the what data? No, we need data.
Quantitative numbers only matters, or we can choose the any qualitative also.
Yes, you can do. You can do qualitative data. That's why you can do interviews. You can
Okay.
observe observations. You can have
Yes.
case studies. Like that, you can do research. Actually, the most of the Western countries also, they prefer this qualitative research approach.
Okay.
It's very good qualitative approach.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, actually, that's the one answer. There are so many things. How to connect my research? Yes, that means actually, this last question, this how to connect the research idea with the journal scope. Actually, that you need to select a journal according to your research idea. That's the thing, right? Now you can think about, now I'm doing microfinance research, right? Then you need to search microfinance related journals. That is the thing you need to do, right? You can see the microfinance papers published where, right? Or you can see that easy method. You can go to the Google Scholar and see microfinance, right? And then you will see these papers are published in this type of journals, right? Then you can select that journal. That's the main thing, right? your research idea, you select the journal. You don't require to change the idea, right? But you can select a journal according to your research idea. Okay. Then some other questions we'll see.
Hello.
Yes. Yes. Please
Yeah,
go
ma'am. Yeah, good evening, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
evening.
This
Good
is
evening.
Ram Lakshmi. Yeah, my research is about agriculture and in the era of climate change
Yes.
and
That's good.
relating to food security. So, how it could be narrowed down according to my topic. Actually, my approved topic was climate change with special reference to Indian agricultural scenario because I'm an Indian. But then my guide had asked me to narrow it down, relating to food security probably. So what data should I procure to justify my research on food security and climate change? Actually, how it could be taken further?
Yes. Yes. Actually, that you
Thank
need.
you. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. That you are saying the agricultural food security. Then what happen? That you don't get the total India. I don't think you can't get the India. You can have narrow down. Actually, you can select only one area because India is a very big country. You can select.
Country.
In
Okay.
addition,
Okay.
that you
Okay.
have problem because food security is a very broad concept, right?
Okay.
But you
Okay.
can select certain crops, right? That you can actually reduce the scope narrow because the food
Ma'am,
security is
ma'am,
a very big one. Therefore, you can
ma'am,
select some. Okay.
actually, I am an international law student. Actually, when I pursued my post graduation, so
Okay.
with respect to the world trade regulation agreements, what aspect I could take further because the topic is broad. I know I could, by the time I understood that it was broad, I am really not knowing how to narrow it down. So, with relating to the WTO regulation, if it could be taken, would that be better, or should I literally narrow it down only for my further research? Actually,
Yes, actually, that I am not the agricultural researcher, but according to the general researcher viewpoint, I am telling that
okay,
you need to consider that you can discuss with the supervisor also. That I always tell that you can think about the food security like big problem. You can have some narrow into certain crops or certain area like that. You can narrow down, right? That the rules and regulation also you can consider one rule and regulation. Some I think better you can select only one or two crops or one crop like that.
okay. And yeah, I am really not able to find the review of literature. So, what could I do further to get more books on it? See, mine is literally doctrinal. I am not able to do it empirical, so I am doing it doctrinal only. But more of books, where could I get, ma'am? Actually.
Yes, that food security that you can you don't get the same thing, but you can have the food security problem. There are research. You can read them, right? That
Okay.
food
Okay.
security research has been done by different countries. There may be so many research for that, but not your
Okay.
specific problem, right?
Okay.
Therefore, but
Okay.
you can read in a broad way because when you're reading, you read in a broad way. Food security, right?
Okay.
That's the thing, not the agriculture security in India. Then sometimes it may be you don't get more research, right? Then you can read the broad way and you can narrow down your problem to your context.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Okay, right. What are the other things? Yes. Commerce background researcher published there in this journal. Was it? Yes. Yes, you can. Yes. Yes, the early career researcher, I think you can start with the actually, if you are a doctoral researcher or master's researcher, you can write literature review paper. that is the starting point, right? That because you can write that you are doing a literature review, right? When you are doing a literature review, you can do using a systematic literature review method, right? And then you can publish a literature review paper. Before you analyze the data, you can do a literature review paper and publish, because that is very important thing. Okay, that practical, general practical implications means actually how your research can contribute practically. That means how it is important for the industries. Right now, think about when I'm doing my research in corporate governance, sustainability, like that. Then how it is the sustainability is important for the policy makers. Right now, think about in my research, I found that the sustainability is low in the companies. Right, then I can tell to the policy makers, you need to consider the strategies to improve the sustainability. Right, then you can say about that practical implication. This is very important. You need to consider. Right, then how about the economic aspect? Like that, how the practically it is important that you need to explain. Right, some other thing.
Hello, good evening, ma'am.
Okay, you can tell me.
Bhupesh here this side from India.
Mm.
Ma'am, kindly throw some light on how to initiate the research for reputed journals like Scopus if
What is
we
it?
are doing secondary research.
Yeah, that is, yes, stock market research, like that. Yes.
Right, ma'am.
Okay. What is the question?
Ma'am, throw some light on how to initiate if we are trying to publish a paper on secondary data.
Actually, I am not clear about the question, Puta. Again, can you tell me? Or
Say, ma'am, my topic is maternal and child health care, and it is related to the medical sociology. If I am going for secondary research, the data is based on secondary.
yes, no problem. The data is
So
based
how
on
to
secondary.
publish
Okay.
a paper in a Scopus like a journal? How
Yeah,
to what structure on that?
Actually, the secondary data research is good, right? Because you can do secondary data research based on the panel data regression, like that, using Starta, right? You can use the Starta. Is, I think, most important technique. You can use Starta. Now, today's context, there are people are using Python also, right? You can do that panel regressions, right? And then you can you have to justify about the sample clearly, and then you need to justify your methods, right? That if you are doing a panel regression, you need to mention about the assumptions you use, right? Houseman test, stationary test, like that. You need to mention what are the assumptions, and you need to clearly mention the results according to the objectives. And then finally, what are your implications, right? If you are writing like that, then other thing is you need to justify your research problem first, right? You need to identify the uniqueness of your research, compare with others. Then you can publish in Scopus paper, no problem, right? Secondary data is good, right? So many research has done by secondary data. But the thing is, you need to elaborate your uniqueness. I told that originality. And you need to have a good methodology, methodological rigor, right? And then implication. If you have those things, you can publish in the Scopus paper, right? Okay. What are the other things? Do you get the answer for your question, Puta? I don't. That. How to publish good indexing research in the reputed journal. Right. When you are publishing a good indexing journal, I think in the future also there are workshops you will be mentioned. But when you are writing a good journal, the main thing I previously told is 4 things. These things need to be highlighted. And then other very important thing, I will tell a small thing, that if you are writing a research paper in a good index journal, then actually you go to that journal. Right now, think about example. Now you like to publish your article in Journal of Business Ethics. It's a high index journal. Then what you need to do, you need to go through the articles they publish, right? And then see the pattern, how they write their papers. And then you can cite few papers from that journal. You can cite few papers, right? That is very important thing, right? And then other thing, you need to write the paper, write the covering letter. That is very important thing. That covering letter is very important. In the covering letter, you need to highlight about the originality of your research, right? And that is very important thing. You need to highlight that your originality, and then you say this is the research is important, why it is connected to this research journal themes. Like that, you need to prepare a good covering letter, right? Then if you have those things, I don't think your paper will reject or reject, right? Therefore, you need to follow up these requirements. Then you can success in publications. I know that when I'm starting my journey, I have several rejections, right? I know that one paper, I know that how many times, there are so many times rejected, right? But after that, I publish in some journal, right? But don't think about that, right? Because if you are a novice researcher, there will be research rejection. It is learning experience. You will learn about. Sometimes you get the comments, and then you can improve, and you can you can submit the paper in another journal, right? Therefore, don't think when the paper is rejected, don't frustrate it. You will publish in different paper, because actually now in the today's context, I have more articles in the social science citation index journals also. But sometimes today also, sometimes it may be rejections are there, but no problem, right? You need to, if one paper reject in one journal, then you can submit to another journal, right? But you try to reduce this rejection based on highlighting your originality, right? That is the success formula. Okay, that you are saying the behavioral robo-advisory and investment decision making. No problem. That if these things are done by the previous scholars, then see how you can distinguish research from that previous scholars, right? Then you try to include some moderate, right? Then you can see like robo-advisory and investment decision making, how this relationship will impact, will change with the gender moderation, right? Gender moderate, if this gender will be moderate this relationship, or it may be moderate about the age, because you know now there are generations are there. Generation is a Gen Z, right? And then millennials. Then we can see how this relationship will change with the gender. Or like that, you can think about the moderator, right? And then you can have the uniqueness, right? And then if the India, that this relationship done, then you can think about a different way, right? You can, or sometimes this research has done only the quantitative study. Then you can do a mixed method research, right? Like that, you can change your research. Okay? Right. I think I have answers. If any other questions are available, there's one person, Mujib Ali. He want to unmute.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, ma'am, for your detailed lecture on research methodology and its importance. I'm currently enrolled in sixth semester of my undergraduate degree, and I have a plan to do my bachelor thesis. So, as I'm a young researcher, I just want to uh, know some motivation from you, like in the digital era, how we can manage our research. Like it's a technological era, so we can use technological tools such as ChatGPT, AI, and like how we can develop research habits. Like in this era, we can ignore reading books and like we rely more on AI and digital tools. So I just want your point.
Yes. Actually, the reading cannot be replaced by AI. That you have to understand that. Reading is very important. If you don't read papers, then what happen? You can't survive in the Viva. Definitely. Right? Therefore, you need to consider reading is very important, but you can get help of the AI to some things, but don't totally based on the AI, totally depend on AI, right? You can get facilitate, but don't depend on it. Mostly important thing is you need to read. Right? You can select the articles using AI sometimes, but I don't think that is also correct because sometimes you will be get not a correct data, right? Well, most of the references from AI is not original. Therefore, you need to be very cautious about that, right? Very cautious about that. That means you can acid, but I think I recommend you need to read papers, right? You need to select some papers and you need to read, right? That is very important thing, right? But you can have summarizing that you can get some assistance. That okay. I think I answered for your question. Okay. Any other? Any other question? Free journals publication, actually most of the Emerald journals are free, right? There is no publication cost. The Emerald journals, if you need open access, only you need to pay. But you can publish in the most of the journals without any APC, right? That you have to understand because elsewhere also some journals you can publish without APC. Emerald, Taylor and Francis also you can publish without APC. Sage journals are there, most of the Sage journals. APC, some journals you can pay, you can actually publish, but you don't have open access. But you can publish without APC. Then so many is there. Okay. Any other questions? I think I have answered all. If you have any questions, you can ask because I can't find the. Okay, then actually this type of incorporate reflexivity while designing the research while working with caste and class. Then it should be actually these are ethical concern. Therefore, you need to concern on these areas. Be carefully because I think you need to get the ethical clearance when you are doing this type of research, right? That you need to consider. Yes, no problem. If you have a methodological gap, that is okay. But if you are doing a PhD, methodological gap is not sufficient. That you have to understand. If it's undergraduate research, master's research is okay. But when you if you are doing a PhD research, it is very important to consider the theoretical gap. That means you need to consider to introduce a new variable, mediator, moderator, like that. You can have some theoretical gap need to be required, right? Undergraduates, masters, no problem. I think I have answered all of questions. The global conflict need to be reported in micro perspective or macro perspective. Actually, like this, global conflicts, that what are the things you are doing that according to the research, it is different. Now think about you are doing a literature review search like that, then you can, it's macro perspective you can do, like a systematic review or like that. But when you come to an empirical research, then actually you need to consider the micro perspective. How the global problem impact to your area or your country or your another one community. Like that, you need to narrow down your research. Okay, I think I have answered all questions. How about Miss Dinity or Madhur? Any other questions? So I have answered all questions.
I think then, ma'am, everything is answered.
Okay. Then thank you so much for all of you. I wish you all the best for your research. You can do a good research and you can publish in a good journal. And in the future, you will be popular in globe with your name. Right? I wish all the success for everyone.
As we come to the end of the today's session, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to Mrs. Hiranna Disanayaka for delivering an insightful and highly informative lecture on the fundamentals of research methodology. Your valuable guidance has undoubtedly helped participants gain a clearer understanding of academic research, research problem identification, and the importance of developing socially relevant research ideas. I would also like to extend our gratitude to all participants for your active presence and engagement in this first session of the JMC SJ Research Methodology Lecture Series. We encourage you to continue participating in the upcoming sessions to further strengthen your research knowledge and methodological competence. Kindly remember to attend regularly as certificates will be awarded to participants who successfully complete the required number of sessions. And thank you once again for joining us today. We look forward to meeting you in the next session. Thank you very much.